Hey everyone! Welcome to this exciting journey through one of the most transformative periods in history. Today we're diving deep into the French Revolution, a pivotal event that reshaped not just France but the entire world. It all kicked off in 1789, a year that marked the beginning of a series of dramatic changes and upheavals in French society. The revolution was a chaotic and turbulent time, filled with intense battles, political intrigue, and social upheaval. Its impact was felt far beyond the borders of France, influencing political thought and revolutionary movements around the globe. In this video, we'll explore the various factors that led to the revolution, starting with the dire economic conditions and widespread social inequality. We'll delve into the stark contrasts between the lavish lifestyles of the aristocracy and the struggles of the common people, the financial crises that crippled the nation, and the inefficiencies and corruption within the government. These mounting tensions and grievances created a powder keg of discontent that was ready to explode. In 1789, a series of dramatic events unfolded, including the formation of the National Assembly and the storming of the Bastille, which became iconic symbols of the revolution. These events set the stage for profound changes in French society, politics, and culture, leaving a lasting legacy that would shape the future of the nation. Even today, the echoes of the French Revolution can be seen in modern France, from its political institutions to its cultural values. The revolution stands as a testament to the power of the people and the enduring importance of liberty, equality, and fraternity. So join me as we travel back to 1789 and witness the dawn of a new era where the seeds of modern democracy and human rights were sown. French society in the late 1700s was really unfair. The country was divided into three main social classes, known as the estates. These divisions created a lot of tension and resentment among the people. Some people had everything, and most people had nothing. The lavish lifestyles of the aristocracy stood in stark contrast to the daily struggles of the common folk. This disparity was glaringly obvious in every aspect of life. This made a lot of people angry. The commoners, who made up the majority of the population, were fed up with the inequality and the lack of opportunities to improve their lives. They gathered in villages and towns, voicing their frustrations and demanding change. The first estate, the clergy, was super rich and didn't have to pay most taxes. They owned vast amounts of land and lived in luxury, while the common people struggled to make ends meet. The church's wealth and power were a source of great resentment. The second estate, the nobles, were also powerful and rich, with important jobs in the government and army. They enjoyed numerous privileges and exemptions from taxes, which only added to the burden on the common people. They didn't pay much in taxes either. This meant that the financial burden of the country fell disproportionately on the third estate, which included everyone else. This meant the third estate, the regular people like farmers, workers, shopkeepers, and doctors, had to pay all the taxes. They were responsible for supporting the entire nation, despite having the least resources and opportunities. They had very few rights, and not many chances to get ahead. The system was designed to keep them in their place, with little hope for social mobility or improvement in their living conditions. This huge gap between the rich and everyone else caused a lot of trouble. The stark contrast between the opulence of the aristocracy and the poverty of the common people was a constant source of tension and conflict. People wanted change, and they were angry at the rich and powerful. The frustration and anger of the common people grew, leading to protests and uprisings. They demanded a fairer system where everyone had an equal chance to succeed. It was just a matter of time before things exploded. The growing discontent and the desire for change eventually led to the French Revolution, a pivotal moment in history that reshaped the nation and its social structure. The 1700s was a time called the Enlightenment, a period marked by a surge in intellectual and philosophical activity. During this era, people began to explore new ideas about individual rights and the role of government. Coffee houses became hubs of discussion, where thinkers and ordinary citizens alike debated these revolutionary concepts. These new ideas challenged the established order. Thinkers like Jean-Jacques Rousseau and Montesquieu were at the forefront, advocating for freedom and the redistribution of power. Rousseau in particular argued that true freedom could only be achieved when individuals participated directly in the formation of laws. Rousseau's idea of a social contract became incredibly influential. He proposed that governments should derive their authority from the consent of the governed, a radical departure from the divine right of kings that had dominated for centuries. According to Rousseau, the legitimacy of a government depended on its ability to reflect the general will of the people. This notion resonated deeply with those who felt oppressed by autocratic rule. Montesquieu, on the other hand, introduced the idea of separating governmental powers into distinct branches. He believed that dividing power among legislative, executive, and judicial branches would prevent any one group from becoming too powerful and ensure a system of checks and balances. These revolutionary ideas spread rapidly through pamphlets, books, and public debates, igniting a sense of dissatisfaction with the existing monarchical systems. People began to question the absolute authority of the king and sought a government that was more accountable to its citizens. As these Enlightenment ideas took hold, public discourse shifted dramatically. Citizens started to openly challenge the notion that the king should hold all the power, advocating instead for a system where the government was responsive to the will of the people. The Enlightenment provided a powerful intellectual foundation for demanding change. It gave people the language and the rationale to push for a more just and equitable society, setting the stage for revolutions and reforms that would reshape the world. France was broke in the late 1700s, and that's a big reason why the revolution happened. King Louis XVI and his queen, Marie Antoinette, spent way too much money, leaving France with nothing in the bank. Fighting wars like helping America in their revolution cost a lot of money too. This made things even worse. Then the crops failed a few years before 1789, so there wasn't enough food and prices went way up. Regular people who were already paying tons of taxes were starving. Everyone was upset that the king wasn't fixing things, and that's when the revolution started brewing. 1789 changed everything in France. It was a year of huge changes and chaos. The old ways were thrown out, and new ideas took over. This is when the French Revolution really got going. In May 1789, King Louis XVI needed money, so he called a meeting called the Estates General. This meeting included people from all three estates, and was supposed to solve the money problems. But it just showed how divided France was. The Third Estate, which was most of the people, wanted more say and fairer taxes. When the king ignored them, they took charge. 1789 was a crazy year that changed France forever. On July 14, 1789, something big happened in Paris: the storming of the Bastille. The Bastille was a big prison that represented the king's power. It held political prisoners and reminded everyone who was in charge. People heard there were weapons inside, so a huge crowd, angry about high prices and no food, attacked the Bastille. They beat the guards and took over the prison. This was a huge moment in the revolution. It showed that the king wasn't in charge anymore. The people were. News of the Bastille falling spread quickly. It showed how powerful people can be when they work together. After the Bastille, fear and unrest spread through the countryside. This was called the Great Fear. People heard rumors about rich people and foreigners planning attacks. So, farmers all over France revolted. They attacked castles, which represented the unfair system. They destroyed records of what they owed. They demanded an end to being treated badly. The Great Fear showed how angry everyone was. It showed that people wanted change and wanted to be free. In August 1789, during all the chaos, the National Assembly, made up of people from the Third Estate, wrote the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen. This document, based on Enlightenment ideas, said everyone has basic rights and freedoms. It said everyone is born free and equal and has the right to liberty, property, safety, and to fight back against oppression. This declaration became super important for the revolution, showing what it was all about. It was a plan for a new fair society where everyone had freedom. The French Revolution was a huge turning point in history. It was the end of one time and the start of another. It was full of trouble, but also hope. The revolution still affects us today. It ended the old unfair system, gave people rights, and created a republic. Its ideas of liberty, equality, and fraternity still inspire people fighting for fairness all over the world. The French Revolution shows us that the people have the real power, and that even the strongest, most unfair systems can be changed. It gives us hope for a better future.